From Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network Earl Hutto Studio, this is TrojanVision Midday.
Good morning and welcome to TrojanVision Midday for Monday, November 18th. I'm Belle Johnson. Thank you for joining us. Our top story this morning, Troy police have made 2 arrests in connection with the Park Street shooting back in September. According to TPD, 20-year-old Eric Demir McLean of Andalusia and 23-year-old Kyrie Mikkel Dorsey of Opp have both been arrested. Both suspects are charged with shooting in an occupied, unoccupied dwelling or vehicle. Their bonds are set at $150,000 each. This case remains under active investigation. Authorities have said there was a large crowd when the shooting happened, which is why they continue urging anyone with information to contact police. Community members can provide tips through the Troy Police Department's Secret Witness Hotline at 334-566-5555 or via email at police@troyal.gov. In other news, students majoring in social work and psychology got the opportunity to learn firsthand from a professional working in their future field. Reporter Alexander Vines has the details.
Troy University's Phi Alpha Honor Society hosted a Bachelor of Social Work semester talk with Troy alum Buffy Alloway. Alloway highlighted some of the challenges students may face when trying to promote equity and mental health services for the Black, Indigenous, and people of color, also known as BIPOC communities.
I feel like no matter if you're doing counseling, psychology, anything like that, you're going to have to work with diverse populations. So knowing how to work with them and deal with things that they go through is very important.
Each student learned ways to advocate for the increasing basic resources within BIPOC communities and how to promote understanding for those communities as well.
Mental health is important no matter what population or culture you're in. I hope that they got a better understanding of culturally competence and hope that they're more comfortable working with diverse and equity populations once they get in the field.
Phi Alpha Honor Society isn't the only organization that promotes mental health talks. Groups like the Black Student Union and the NAACP are also working to raise awareness about the topic. Alexander Vines, Troy TrojanVision News.
And Troy University's School of Social Work and Human Services plans to continue its semester talks in the spring. To keep up with all of their upcoming events, you can follow them on Instagram at TroySWHS. Although Troy University hosts weekday and Saturday tours, Thursday night it held its first ever Twilight Tour. Jack Sturdivant has that story.
Thursday night, Troy University hosted its first ever Twilight Tour, which allowed prospective students and their families to see campus during and after the sunset.
Twilight tours are a little bit different just in the timing that we offer them, giving families more opportunities to see campus that may work for them. And we always jokingly say that there's nothing like a Troy sunset, so letting them see our beautiful campus as the sun sets was just a cool opportunity.
During the tour, not only were participants able to go inside classrooms in John Robert Lewis Hall, Patterson Hall, Hawkins Hall, and Smith Hall, but they also toured the Trojan Center, the Rec Center, the Dining Hall, Trojan Village 200, and Rushing Hall.
The tour was really great. They took us through dining halls, the gym, and everything. So I say it went really well.
Although many prospective students come to Troy based on their major, scholarships also play a major role.
So I heard about Troy's great broadcasting journalism program, so that's one of the main reasons I'm here. And also, they have pretty great scholarships.
Troy encourages students to tour campus. It offers weekday tours and Saturday tours.
I definitely encourage students to just come take a campus tour, whether it's a regular daily tour, a Saturday Troy tour, or one of these Twilight tours, just to see what we offer in terms of programs and amenities on campus.
Jack Sturdivant, Troy TrojanVision News.
And to schedule a tour, you can visit www.troy.edu. This year's Middle School Southeastern United States Band Clinic, also known as SEUS, is now in the books. Last week, SEUS members spent 2 days working on this year's music. The group was divided into 2 bands, the Vince Ross Band and the Alex Johnson Band. Rehearsals started Thursday afternoon and continued Friday. Friday night, the groups performed at the Honor Band concert, which was held inside Claudia Crosby Theater. That performance marked the end of this year's clinic. Once SEUS Honor Band concert wrapped up, the Troy University Symphonic Band concert began. And now for a look at what's happening across the country and around the world, let's go to Hunter Boozer at the Global News Desk. Hunter?
Thanks, Belle. President-elect Donald Trump has announced he's nominating Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. The choice of the anti-vaccine activist raised questions on whether the Senate will approve him to run the department, which oversees the FDA, the CDC, and the Medicare and Medicaid programs. The confirmation process could also be challenging for other potential nominees, including Fox News host Pete Hegseth, who was investigated for alleged sexual assault in 2017, and former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, investigated by the Justice Department and the House for alleged sexual misconduct and drug use. Nicole Skenga has the details.
The debate over Senate confirmation for some of President-elect Donald Trump's more controversial cabinet picks is already underway on Capitol Hill.
I think the Senate should do everything they possibly can to approve those and to nominate them and get them through the confirmation process.
There are, I think, a number of nominees that have got a lot of tough questions to answer.
House members left for the weekend without an ethics committee vote on whether to release a report looking into allegations of sexual misconduct by former Congressman Matt Gaetz, Trump's choice for Attorney General.
I do not believe that that is an appropriate thing. It doesn't follow our rules and traditions, and there is a reason for that. It would open a Pandora's box.
But some lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say the report should be made public.
I think it's important for them to have all critical information that they need to make an intelligent decision.
When you have these sort of complaints and investigations, it's always better to find out before than after.
Another cabinet pick that could face a confirmation battle here on Capitol Hill, Trump's choice to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I just looked at the news reports. People like you, Bobby. Don't get too popular, Bobby.
Kennedy's anti-vaccine activism has several lawmakers questioning whether he should oversee the nation's public health agenda.
All my kids are vaccinated, and I hope he's not going to move against one of the most life-saving technologies in the history of the world.
Kennedy is also facing another challenge from some conservatives. Former Vice President Mike Pence called on Republicans to block Kennedy's nomination because of his record supporting abortion rights. Nicole Skenga, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
A major shift in U.S. policy towards Ukraine. President Biden has authorized President Zelensky to use American-made weapons for deeper strikes inside Russia. Ukraine has been requesting permission to use the missiles for long-range attacks for some time, but the U.S. was concerned about potentially escalating the war. At the same time, yesterday, Russia launched one of its largest attacks in months on Ukrainian civilians. MTS Tiab has the story.
They were targeted as they slept. At least 11 people were killed and dozens more wounded after what Ukraine has called one of the largest Russian missile and drone attacks since the start of the war. Much of it hitting the country's energy grid. Now, Ukrainian forces will be able to retaliate harder and further like never before, following President Biden's decision to allow the use of U.S.-supplied long-range missiles deep inside Russia. The Army tactical missile systems travel at supersonic speeds and has a range of up to 190 miles. For months, Ukrainian forces have been launching drone attacks into Russian territory, but with limited effect. President Vladimir Zelensky has welcomed the weapons. Strikes are not made with words, he says. The missiles will speak for themselves. In September, Russian President Vladimir Putin issued a dire warning against allowing Ukraine to fire U.S.-supplied long-range missiles, saying it would mean that NATO countries, the United States, and European nations are parties to the war in Ukraine. Since then, Putin has dramatically raised the stakes by overseeing the deployment of at least 11,000 North Korean troops alongside Russian forces. While in the capital, Kyiv, a makeshift tribute has been set up to mark the 1,000th day of the war, as loved ones mourn the loss of tens of thousands of Ukrainians. And President Biden's decision has triggered a furious response from within Russia, with Russian lawmakers calling the move unacceptable and warning it could trigger what they called World War III. President Putin, however, has so far remained silent. Imtiaz Taib, CBS News, London.
An interesting twist in the ongoing legal battle between the families of the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre and Alex Jones, who claimed the deadly day was a hoax. Thursday, satirical publication The Onion won Jones's InfoWars platform in a court-ordered auction. But now Jones is calling that sale into question, and a judge wants to take a look. Here's Jared Hill with more.
In what started as a joke turned a chance for healing, Thursday, satirical publication The Onion won a bid for controversial public figure Alex Jones's InfoWars platform.
We're going to make it into a bigger and better thing. We want in a couple of years for people to be like, oh, InfoWars, that funny website, instead of like that horrible place of, Funhouse Mirror horrors.
Ben Collins is CEO of The Onion, which has spoofed Jones and his conspiracy theories for years. But one of Jones' most notorious spins landed the tycoon in legal trouble. In 2022, the families of the Sandy Hook massacre won more than $1.4 billion in a defamation judgment against Jones. And this summer, a court ruled his assets, including the media company, had to be sold to compensate those families.
His horrific messaging and attacks and stuff started immediately after the shooting.
Robbie Parker's 6-year-old daughter, Emily, was among the 26 victims killed by the gunman at her Connecticut elementary school in 2012. Jones used a moment of him speaking to the media the day after the shooting to label him a crisis actor and the shooting fake. The new website is expected to work with gun violence prevention group Everytown for Gun Safety.
Humor is one of the most effective ways to reach people and to actually combat misinformation. And so that's why we're all in.
But last night, Alex Jones argued the sale hadn't actually gone through.
The Onion's everywhere announcing they bought it.
The judge in Jones' bankruptcy case ordered a hearing for next week on how the auction was conducted. Jared Hill, CBS News.
That's your news from across the country and around the world. Belle?
All right, thanks, Hunter. Coming up on Troy, TrojanVision Midday. This week will mark one of the biggest international festivals of the year. We'll learn more in today's Trojan Talk. And after a sunny weekend, are showers back in the forecast? Weather anchor Jimmy Nichols has the answer right after the break, so stay with us.
Now, your weather on Troy Trojan Vision Midday.
Hi, welcome to your weather. My name is Jimmy Nichols. As we take a look here at the quad cam, we can see we got some partly cloudy skies here. Will this trend continue throughout the week? I'll let you know right after our current conditions. So as you can see today, our high so far has been 70 degrees, with our record high being 82 back in 1941. And our low so far today has been 46, which is a lot warmer than our record low of 24 back in 1951. And so far today, we haven't seen any rain. Now, as we take a look around the state, you can see that Huntsville and Birmingham are both about at 67 degrees today, with Phoenix City at 71. Montgomery's the coolest out of the bunch at 61. We're here at Troy, we're at 70. Dothan's at 68, and then Mobile is the warmest at 74. So now as you take a look around the southeast, you can finally see those temperatures are starting to drop. We're most everybody in the 60s and 70s. And then as we make our way out west, you can see we're in the 30s and 40s out here for our friends out west. So everybody's finally getting those cool fall temperatures we've all been hoping for and can finally start wearing those jackets. Now as we look at our chances of rain coming up in the next few days, you can see Tuesday we're going to be drenched in rain, so make sure you have your raincoats. And then Wednesday, that moves right back out. We should have some cloudy, sunny skies coming at you. And that trend continues for the rest of the week with Thursday, clear skies, and going into the weekend on Friday, clear skies. So as we go into tonight, it's going to be 62 degrees, mostly cloudy, but there is a good chance of rain. So if you have plans this evening, make sure you bring your umbrella. We have winds coming also from the southeast from 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then as we go into tomorrow, it's going to be 68 degrees. With heavy rain, so if rain jackets, raincoats, umbrellas, you need to break those out for tomorrow, with winds coming from the east at 5 miles per hour. Now as we look at the next 4 days, as you can see, like I was saying for tomorrow, we have a 100% chance of rain here in Troy, so you will need those rain jackets. It will be a high of 68 with a low of 61. Wednesday will be a high of 71 with a low of 40, but no rain. The rain moves right back out on Wednesday. And then going into the weekend, Thursday, a high of 59, a low of 38, and Friday, a high of 57. So as you can see, we have typical Alabama weather here, y'all. You get rain one day, you get a high of 70 on the next, and then you move into the fall temperatures for the back half of the week. So typical Alabama weather as we go into the weekend. That has been your weather. Now back to the news desk.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. Still to come on TrojanVision Midday, a walking woman is nearly hit by falling skyscraper scaffolding. Coming up in this morning's Take a Look at This. And Troy volleyball was back in action against App State. And Jack Sturdivant will have our weekend sports recap after the break, so stay with us.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it, I see it! Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Now, the latest in Trojan sports on Troy TrojanVision Midday.
Welcome to your TrojanVision Sports. I'm Jack Sturdivant. The Troy volleyball program rallied back after set one to finish the regular season victory over App State in Trojan Arena. The Trojans now finish the season at 500 in overall and Sun Belt Conference records before postseason play. They also finished fourth in the West Division. On her senior day, Tori Hester continued her attack with 22 kills to lead the Trojans. She also got involved throughout the stat sheet as she ended with 1 assist, 3 service aces, 9 digs, and a block. Audrey Worthington also showed up, leading the team in hitting percentage. The middle hitter also captured a team high 4 blocks. Troy finished off App State in the 4th set, but not without a late rally by the Mountaineers. But in poetic fashion, Troy's all-time leader in kills and points got the final say on senior day as Hester connected with fellow senior Stumpfig for the kill and victory, 25-21. Troy's late season resurgence continued Saturday afternoon as the Trojans walked into Paulson Stadium and walked out with a victory over Sun Belt East Division leading Georgia Southern. That final score, 28-21, 28-20. The victory was Troy's 100th conference win as a member of the Sun Belt, making him the first to reach that milestone. Matthew Caldwell accounted for all 4 of Troy's touchdowns, rushing for a pair of scores and throwing touchdown passes to Brody Dalton and Devontae Ross. The Troy defense limited Georgia Southern to just 246 yards of total offense on 48 plays. Troy's offense controlled the ball game, racking up 441 yards and maintaining possessions for more than 38 minutes. Troy hits the road for another battle with a divisional leader as the Trojans travel to Lafayette, Louisiana for a showdown with Sun Belt West leader Louisiana next Saturday at 4 o'clock. Now, before the Trojan football team took the field, sports reporter Hunter Boozer was already looking into the future to see what EA Sports College Football 25 predicted. Here's that rundown, which thankfully was wrong.
This week, the men of Troy face the Eagles of Georgia Southern out of Statesboro, Georgia. Let's head down to the virtual field to see the action. Troy comes in at 2-7 on the year. They're coming off a bye week with their most recent game being a win against Coastal Carolina. Georgia Southern comes in at 6-3. They're also coming off a bye week with their most recent game being a win against South Alabama. Early in the first quarter, Troy would get a big play. Devontae Ross would catch a 68-yard pass to put Troy into Georgia Southern's red zone. In the very next play, Devontae Ross would get his second catch, this time for a 19-yard touchdown to put the Trojans up 7-0. Georgia Southern would drain some clock, but J.C. French would connect with Tyler Fromm for a 10-yard receiving touchdown to tie the game. Troy would be forced to punt. Late in the second quarter, J.C. French got his second passing touchdown, this time to L.V. Bunkley Shelton. And that would send us to the half with a score of 14-7. Georgia Southern would extend their lead with another French to Bunkley Shelton connection, this time from 34 yards to make the score 21-7. Troy would find a way to respond as Peyton Higgins would get a 2-yard touchdown catch to make the score 21-14. However, Georgia Southern played good clock management and ended the game. J.C. French would be the player of the game with 193 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. So while Troy didn't win in the simulation, hopefully in real life, the fate can be different. Hunter Boozer, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
One quick note, Hunter's previous simulation for Troy and Coastal Carolina was also wrong. Time will tell what this week's simulation will predict. Staying with victory news, Troy women's basketball got its first win for its 2024-2025 season against UT Chattanooga. This victory also marked the Trojans' third victory against the Mocs. Zay Dyer took the lead as she finished with 24 points on 10 of 20 shooting for her third career game with 20-plus points. Ashley Baeth also had an impressive night, setting a new career high in free throws as she made 10 to become the first Trojan since Nia Daniel to hit 10-plus at the charity stripe. The Trojans hope to keep this momentum throughout the weekend as they prepare to head into their 5th match of the road series when they take on LSU tonight at 7. Troy men's basketball struggled to piece together consistent offense and fell to Oregon at Matthew Knight Arena Sunday afternoon. The final score was 82-61. Troy had its worst three-point shooting performance in almost 4 years. Troy finished the night with a 37.3% shooting clip, its lowest of the season. Troy did not record a point until 15 minutes and 25 seconds left in the half on a Jarrell Bellamy free throw. Bellamy had his best game as a Trojans, pulling down 7 boards, scoring 5 points, and picking up a pair of blocks. The second half was a little kinder to Troy, who shot 50% from the field in the final 20 minutes, but made just one of its 9 three-point attempts. Miles Rigsby scored 9 of his team-high 15 points in the second half. He was the only Trojan to score more than 9 points. The Trojans wrap up its 4-game road trip tomorrow night in Carrollton, Georgia, as they take on West Georgia. Tip-off is set for 6 o'clock. Well, Bill, a couple road games coming up in basketball. Women's basketball head to Baton Rouge tonight at 7 to take on LSU, and then tomorrow night, West Georgia at 6 for the men.
All right, well, we love our Trojans win or lose, and we're wishing luck to both teams. Thanks, Jack. Happening right now, Troy University is preparing for one of its largest international showcases of the entire year. It's called the ISCO Festival, and it celebrates international students and their cultures. Hello and welcome to this edition of Trojan Talk. My name is Belle Johnson, and I am joined today by Haley Morgan and Sarah Campbell, the president and vice president of ISCO. So, first ladies, the first question I have for you is, what exactly is ISCO?
ISCO stands for the International Student Cultural Organization. We're here to foster friendship and community amongst the domestic and the international students.
What is the purpose of it?
So the ISCO Festival is our big thing we do every year in the fall, and it really ties into ISCO's purpose as a whole, which is to foster that connection between international and domestic students. So Troy is usually referred to as Alabama's international college, so we really pride ourselves on making those connections with that international student body, and the festival is just one way to do that and to just educate people and show them international culture.
Absolutely. So what is in store for this year's festival?
Well, we have food as always. It's going to be a whole meal, it's not just snacks, cultural relevance amongst the foods. We're still working out the details on the menu, but then we'll also have performers from all different cultures. There'll be dance, singing, anything you can imagine.
All right, that sounds like a really cool event. So for those who are interested in going, where can they find tickets and how much do they cost?
Yeah, so if you're interested in getting a ticket, reach out to any ISCO members you know. We'll also be tabling in the Trojan Center in November, and tickets are $10 for students and they're $15 for non-students, but it's open to anyone, so if you're interested, please buy a ticket. It's something you would definitely not want to miss.
We've explained basics so far, so where and when will this event take place?
Well, it'll be on November 21st in the TC ballrooms at 6 p.m.
And do y'all have a dress code that students need to be aware of?
People dress up, but you don't have to either. There's not like a required dress code. A lot of the international students will also wear their cultural dress as well, which is really cool to see. But you know, you can dress up as much as you'd like. You can come in sweats if you want to. You can wear a nice dress. It's really just however you're feeling.
It sounds like a really fun and cool event that I think all students will enjoy. So we are just about out of time. So thank you, ladies, for coming on here. Thank you for being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us on this edition of Trojan Talk. This Sunday was World Prematurity Day, a time to raise awareness about the dangerous, even deadly health consequences of premature birth. In the U.S., preterm birth is a leading cause of infant deaths. New data shows the country has a long way to go to protect those who are pregnant and their babies. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither looks at the numbers and explains why experts believe U.S. infants are dying at high rates.
She passed. For the third year in a row, the U.S. gets a D+ grade from the March of Dimes annual report on maternal and infant health for its high preterm birth rate.
Mothers and babies deserve better.
For every 1,000 babies born in 2023, about 6 died, according to provisional CDC data. That death rate is the same as the year before, and the March of Dimes report finds the rate of preterm births remained at 10.4% last year. Those are babies born before 37 weeks gestation, again unchanged from the previous year.
So it's remaining at historically high levels.
Dr. Amanda Williams says racial disparities also persist. For Black people, the preterm birth rate is 1.5 times higher than the rate among all other babies. The March of Dimes report says certain risk factors are contributing to the high overall preterm birth rates. First, the number of people who have chronic conditions during pregnancy and inadequate prenatal care.
A third of all counties in the United States are maternity care deserts. And that means that there is no prenatal care provider, no obstetrician, no midwife, no family practice doc who does OB, and no maternity unit.
Williams says identifying high-risk pregnant people and improving access to care are keys to reversing the high preterm birth trend.
We have to think about how can we keep our hospitals open and how can we make sure that we have providers who can take good care of patients.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A very scary near miss involving an unsuspecting pedestrian and a falling scrap of scaffolding unfolded on a busy city street, and the whole thing was caught on camera. Jeremy Roth has this morning's Take a Look at This.
Today, news from above, starting with a newly released video showing one very lucky pedestrian's very, very close call with a piece of scaffolding that fell from a skyscraper. It unfolded outside Boston's South Station when suddenly a section of sheet metal came crashing down from above, just missing this walking woman by mere feet. Thankfully, no one was injured in the incident, and according to WHDH, One Financial Center Tower confirmed the plank had fallen from a worksite on its roof and that they were removing the rest of the planking to mitigate any further risk. Now on to story number 2. I give you the poop copter. Oh, it's a thing, all right. Industrious Minnesota dad Caleb Olson was tired of doing the doggy dirty work, so he cooked up this hovering hands-free contraption to do his duty for him. According to CARE, he's hoping to market the gadget and is still working out some kinks, but
doo-doo drone.
As for the name,
Poop Pilot,
he's already landed on Poop Copter. It just goes to show there's always room for new innovation for the good of mankind and its best friends behind. Finally, sending love from up above for the end of an era as one of the world's tallest roller coasters, Six Flags Great Adventures Kingda Ka coasts into retirement after blowing riders' minds with its 128-mile-an-hour speed and 456-foot vertical drop for 19 years. The steel behemoth had a good run and broke records in its heyday, but will now make way for some new thrill rides at the New Jersey park. Kingda Ka, sayonara. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Well, we're almost out of time, but before we go, we have one more final forecast for you. Weather anchor Jimmy Nichols, what should we expect?
Thanks, Belle. So like I said, we're going to go back to the 4-day real quick. So if we look at Tuesday, 100% chance of rain. You will need that umbrella with a high of 68 and a low of 61. Wednesday, a high of 71 and a low of 40. Thursday, a high of 59 and a low of 38. And Friday, a high of 57. You just need to have that rain jacket ready for Tuesday, and then go into the week, get your jackets ready for the week. Back to the news desk.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. That's all the time we have for Troy Trojan Vision Midday. For all of us here at Trojan Vision, thanks for joining us. Remember to tune in tonight at 5 for more news, sports, and weather. Until then, have a great afternoon.